So guys, thanks for tuning in. Let's get started with the session. So this happens to be the 10th myth of the Thane SOLIDWORKS User Group Network. I really do appreciate your presence and I really thank you for joining the meetings and help the community grow. So we have literally crossed 600 members in just 8 months and the community is growing really well. I really appreciate your presence in and out the community, trying to help each others grow. So today we have DriveWorks, and DriveWorks is a design automation partner present and integrated in SolidWorks. We today welcome Hasz, who has been presenting in a lot of DriveWorks sessions, and Hasz, ma'am, is a DriveWorks brand and community ambassador. She is being based in Greater Boston. When it comes to design automation, reducing repetitive tasks, eliminating errors, sort of increasing the sales and deliver customer products in time is a major concern. And to handle all this, we have DriveWorks, which automates and creates the custom specific data, sales documents, all the technical documentations, and SolidWorks manufacturing data, enabling engineers and the sales team, distributors to customers to get their requirements done really easy. So thankfully we have this integrated platform. So today the presenter will showcase you the capabilities of the tool and how it's helping the entire design industry grow like an edge. We will also share some certification tips that DriveWorks has been provided that too for free. So stay tuned at the end of this sessions. And I'll just meanwhile toss the screen towards you, ma'am.
Excellent.
I will really
Thank you so much,
appreciate
Nikhil.
Yeah.
So here we go. All right, let me just get I'm just gonna get my
Ma'am, a short introduction about yourself, how it takes to be a brand ambassador of a company, and it really means a lot when it comes from you, ma'am.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much. I am gonna just go ahead and share just this main screen right now. And just a couple of things over the course of my chat, please feel free to ask any questions if you have anything. I will try to keep an eye on the chat if you want to type something in over there, or if the opportunity seems right, please feel free to unmute yourself if you do have a question. As Nikhil said, my name is Heather Hasz, and I am the brand and community ambassador for DriveWorks. And while DriveWorks is based in the UK, they're actually in the north, Manchester, UK, Manchester, England. I'm based in Boston in the USA, and so it's early for me here on Sunday morning, where it's later for you folks. And so thanks for hosting me and having my coffee with me today. I joined the team with DriveWorks it'll be 6 years in March. I was their first American hire. Again, everybody on the team, the software developers, the sales team, everyone is based in the UK office. And our company turned 20 this year. So we've been in the software business doing design automation development and automating SolidWorks now for the better part of 20 years. And so that's just a quick snapshot of my team in the UK. And in the front foreground there, you can see the owner's dog, Ruby. She's the unofficial dog for DriveWorks. SolidWorks and DriveWorks have been working together now for probably the better part of 15 years. We've been a gold partner to SolidWorks, and I'll get into that in a few minutes. Again, here's a quick photo of our team in the UK. There's about 50 of us that work at DriveWorks, give or take, and we sell our software through the same reseller network as the SolidWorks products are sold through. So if you have resellers in India and you're concerned about or have questions, interested about DriveWorks, you can get in touch with your reseller, because there's a likelihood, I know we have a couple of resellers based in India that do sell DriveWorks. So I want to talk a little bit before we get into the software product about what we've been doing with the SolidWorks user group community. And so Nikhil and I had actually met each other just at some virtual meetings around the world over the last couple of years, because that's how we've been traveling, right? It's just dialing into meetings, whether it's Australia or India or California or Canada. I've been pretty much all over the world in the last 2 years from the comfort and safety of my own home. But we launched our user group support program. It's about 5 years ago, actually a little over 5 years ago, at SOLIDWORKS World 2015. And what we've been doing is working with user group leaders, very much like Nikhil, to help support the community, whether it's doing a presentation like this, which I'll do today for you around DriveWorks, or helping a user group leader maybe find another technical presentation, because we all are a bunch of SOLIDWORKS people, and as members of the community, we know others. And so it hasn't been out of the scope of possibility for me to connect the user group leader with somebody at SOLIDWORKS or with a customer, and not just around DriveWorks, but other products as well. I spent about 10 years working for SOLIDWORKS before I came over to DriveWorks. And so we're fairly connected into the community as a company, but me personally as well. So just a couple of snapshots. We talked about this virtual platform that we're meeting on today. Who would think that 2 years ago, this would be our primary way of staying together? But you know, as with anything, it has its drawbacks, but it certainly also has its opportunities. And so I've been able to meet and host and present at group meetings all over the world, you know, whether it was Houston, Texas, or New Jersey, or presenting in London at a user group meeting. We've had, you know, the opportunity to visit with many groups that we may not have been able to if we had to physically travel there. And so nicely, the community has recognized that. And over the course of the past couple of years, DriveWorks has been recognized by the community as the sponsor and partner of the year. And we really appreciate that. We don't do it for the accolades. We do it, again, my team are a bunch of SOLIDWORKS power users as well. But it's always nice to be recognized for that. So I always feel compelled to thank the different user groups, because without you having group meetings, we wouldn't have a program ourselves. And so thank you for that. One of the things that we were able to do, and I do like to make sure I let the user groups know this, is DriveWorks as a software tool. We've taken the model set by the SOLIDWORKS user group community, and we launched our own user group network over the last year. We actually just celebrated our 1-year anniversary, Nikhil, with a customer-based user group called DriveWorks Drivers. And
really?
Again, it's for our customers. Yeah, it's a customer-based program though, so it's almost like a value-added program for our customers on subscription and our resellers, where people get together and share information. And I can get you more information about that, Nikhil, because we have had some guests come in on occasion, and it might be something you know, I could see for you to come visit one of our meetings down the road. We did have Dan Wagner there. We've had a couple of special guests, but we do like to share, and the community was really inspired by what the SWGN have done. And so what we did was, with the, you know, the pandemic as it is, limiting our travel, we decided to switch and dedicate some resources to create this customer program, and it's been really nice. And so, but it's definitely a nod, if you will, to the SWGN program, because we used a lot of what you folks were doing to kind of develop our own recipe for what we were doing. So I just like to mention it because it really is a token you know, of inspiration from the user groups. But let's talk a bit about the software, so we can all learn a little bit about a software tool that you already all own, believe it or not. We're going to talk about DriveWorks. As Nikhil had said, DriveWorks is a design automation tool. And what it does is, if your daily product design requires you to do a lot of same but different type designs, if you're designing something that's just changing dimension or size or materials, or, you know, depending on what your assembly or your part or assembly might be, DriveWorks could be a solution that helps you automate that instead of opening the product, making manual changes, resaving things. And I'll do a quick demo of the software. We do have 3 products, and so DriveWorks is a gold product to SOLIDWORKS. And for anyone not familiar with what that means, is as a gold product, our solution sits inside of SOLIDWORKS. So when you're using DriveWorks, you're working right in the SOLIDWORKS interface. Today, I'm going to talk about the DriveWorks Express product, primarily because you all already own it, whether it's a student license, standard, premium, professional. Everyone that owns a seat of SOLIDWORKS has the software in it called DriveWorks Express. And I'll show you a bit on how to access that in a moment. But with DriveWorks Express, you can do some really good basic design automation. You can automate, you can do full assemblies. I'm going to do a part today just in the interest of time. But you can automate a part, an assembly. You can even bring in a drawing and automate that too. And we'll do that together in a few minutes. There's two other products that we do support as well. They're gold products. It's DriveWorks Solo and DriveWorks Pro. Now with Solo and Pro, there's more advanced design automation opportunity for you. You can do a little bit more fancy setup of your projects. And if I have time at the end of our meeting today, I can show you a quick peek at that. But I think when you see what Express can do, you'll kind of get a feel for what the other two products can do. And I might be able to show you just a quick example of that. So we're going to talk about DriveWorks Express today. So every seat of Express is available for activation inside of SOLIDWORKS. And for anyone, and making a broad assumption, if you will, anything after SOLIDWORKS 2015, all of the Express products, whether it's Simulation Express or DriveWorks Express or DFM Express, all of the Express products need to be activated in the My SolidWorks area of the SolidWorks website. And so what you'll do, and I'll show you when we go into SolidWorks, is you'll go up into the Tools menu and drop down to Express products. If you choose DriveWorks Express, it will drive you over to the My SolidWorks area of the website, where you plug in your SolidWorks activation code, and it gives you back a code to launch DriveWorks Express. And I think when SolidWorks did that, it was really so they could see who was using what Express products, but also to have folks go see what My SolidWorks does. And if you haven't been over to My SolidWorks, I know you have to be on active subscription and there's different levels of entry that you have, but there's a lot of really good support materials over there. So I think it's nice. They can get to see who's using the different Express products, but also have you start to see what's available over on My SolidWorks. And this is a 2D image, if you will, but we have these really fun beer mats that have the instructions on the back on how to get in, and that's what's up here on the screen. It's just got the steps. They made these beer mats because, being a British company, they like to go to the pub. And so they figured these were just kind of a fun takeaway for you. So when we talk about, what's that? It is cool, right? I know.
Yeah.
When we talk about automating SolidWorks and designing these projects in DriveWorks Express, what we're going to do together is we're going to be working on a part. And what we're going to do is we're going to capture what we want to work on in DriveWorks. We're going to build a form. And by filling out that form, we're going to be able to create new variations of our parts and assemblies. Again, I'm going to do a part today. So this example right here is a scissor lift. And this is a project built inside of SolidWorks, inside of DriveWorks Express. But by filling out the form, what you'll see is here on the right side of that screen, there's a form here. You can't see it really clearly on this picture, but we'll go into the live software in a few minutes. Simply by filling out the different entries into the form, we can then regenerate brand new versions of this scissor lift. And if there's people here that have experience using a product inside of SolidWorks called design tables, the functionality design tables, this will be very similar to what you might be doing with design tables. The difference is DriveWorks kind of just takes it up a notch, if you will. And it doesn't just create a new configuration, it actually creates a brand new file. And so you're not just getting a brand new configuration, it's actually going to generate brand new part files for you as well as drawings. And again, we'll have a chance to take a look at that in just a minute. And when you look at your daily designs, you may say, oh, well, we can't do the whole thing in DriveWorks. That's just, not. You can automate small parts of your assembly. So when you're looking at this robot arm, but it has that that guard around it. You can just take that guard and put it into DriveWorks, where you see it's just a simple rectangle. You can change the dimensions on that. It's just whatever you want to drive. Again, DriveWorks, right? You want to drive a new design inside of SolidWorks, and you'll be able to see that in a moment. So what we're going to do is walk through a few steps. We are going to set up our project in DriveWorksXpress. I already have something open, again, for the sake of timing and making sure I could fit everything in to show you fine folks today. We are going to capture the dimensions and the features of that part that we want to configure in DriveWorks. We're going to capture some custom properties. We're going to capture a drawing, and then we're going to create the form, and then we're going to build some rules. And so if anybody has any knowledge in rules building, it's going to be really basic rules building, but that's kind of what DriveWorks is built on, is this rules engine. And then we're going to run our project together. So I'll walk through just a couple of little animations here. We're going to capture the design parameters that we want in our model, and we're going to be working on a magazine rack together today, a custom magazine rack. The next is we're going to create our input form, and again, we'll have live demo of this in just a moment. We're going to write our rules, and this is the form that we're going to fill out in order for us to run our project and create our part over and over again. And some of you may work in different industries, and so what I'm going to show you today is really just to help create awareness around what the software can do. But if you want to go out and look at other examples, we have a wide range of industry examples on the website. And again, as SolidWorks customers, you already have access to the DriveWorksXpress project, DriveWorksXpress software, but you can just go out to DriveWorksXpress.com and look at the different examples and projects that are out there, maybe in your particular industry, or maybe a little bit more complex than what I'm going to show you at this point. We're going to go through a little bit of the rules building like I discussed before, and if anyone is interested, we actually have what used to be a desktop reference, but now it's a digital reference. It's called the Little Book of Rules. And what it does is it really gives you a reference in what it means to write rules inside of DriveWorks. And so if you want, you can send me an email or otherwise. Sorry, I had to yell for my husband to come get the dog. If you want, you can send me an email or type in the chat your email address, and I'm happy to send you a digital copy of this book. Again, it's a really great reference tool. Nikhil, I can even send it on to you as well, and you can send it out to anyone that might be interested in learning a little bit more about rules writing in DriveWorks. And we did talk a little bit about certification when Nikhil introduced me. We do have a free training and certification for DriveWorksXpress. And so I'm not sure how many people here in the group are certified in SolidWorks already, whether you're certified SolidWorks Associate, Professional, Expert. What we did was we worked really closely with the certification team at SolidWorks, as well as the education team, to create a free online certification for DriveWorks, and anyone has access to it. We actually have a website created for it. It's not hosted on the SolidWorks website. It's hosted on our website. I've created a QR code there for you. If you want to take a picture of that, you can go take a look at it. I'm a marketeer. I have a marketing degree, but I was actually able to work through the certification myself. It really is well written to walk you through the steps of what it means to work in DriveWorks inside of SolidWorks and be able to just add this additional certification to your CV, to your skill set, whether you're a student or you're currently working in industry and just want to add on to your skill set. And it's 100% free. There is no catch to that. The software is inside of SolidWorks. We've had a lot of customers, a lot of DriveWorks customers, because design automation has become really common in manufacturing now, because manufacturers are working with leaner staff, right? And you want to have more work with maybe less resources. And so being able to automate your designs and help your, oh, there's the dog, sorry, and help your company be able to get to market faster with less errors and more efficiency. A lot of our customers started asking if we could build a certification. And so we did. So this one is free and available. This is just a snapshot. We've been around to some universities in the UK, on site in England, but also the photo in the middle are some high school kids here right in the USA that at the high school level, even lower than university, have been able to walk through and take the certification. And so, and that's actually a robotics team. I think you folks have FIRST Robotics in India. Nikhil, do you have FIRST Robotics?
Yes, some universities do have that, man.
Yeah. So we became a sponsor to FIRST Robotics, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But those are the two students sitting in the front in that middle picture are FIRST Robotics at the high school level, and then that's their CAD mentor behind them who taught them. That happens to be my husband up there that taught them SolidWorks and then taught them how to use DriveWorks. And so, but then we also have DriveWorks Solo. So we have the three products. We have DriveWorks Express, we have DriveWorks Solo, and DriveWorks Pro. We also have a free certification for DriveWorks Solo as well. And so that would be kind of like the second level to your certification. So if you did the DriveWorks Express certification, you might want to pursue this one. This is like the second level of certification for DriveWorks. And again, they're all free. They're available, they're out there. But if you have any questions on it, again, I'll put my email address into the chat. Nikhil has my email too. Let me just do Heather Hasz at driveworks.co.uk. And I just put my email address in. If anybody has questions about it or wants any other follow-up, or again, that little book of rules, please feel free to reach out to me. I did see someone here already ask for the book. That's great. So now let's chat a little bit more. FIRST Robotics, I mentioned that quickly, and I'm just going to talk to it briefly. We became a FIRST Robotics sponsor about 2 years ago. Again, it was an opportunity for us to help students gain more CAD skills, because SolidWorks is such a big sponsor to FIRST Robotics. We knew that our software, because it complements SolidWorks so well, it could just simply allow students to gain those additional skills in using SolidWorks with some design automation. And we built all kinds of resources for it. The pandemic had kind of slowed down the FIRST Robotics competition series for in-person competitions, but a lot of teams have used it as an opportunity to help their robotics teams build up their skill set, because one of the primary missions of FIRST Robotics is to help create more STEM opportunities, more STEM education, investing more in getting younger people involved in STEM. And we're really behind that. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into SolidWorks. But again, we have so many different industry examples. It's all out there on our website. It's free. It's available for consumption by anyone interested. The team is super invested in supporting the SolidWorks community. We are all over social media. I think Nikhil can attest to that himself. We are on Facebook, we're on Twitter. DriveWorks has a YouTube channel that's actually really good, and it's full of a ton of technical tutorials and such. A lot of our customers use YouTube more so than anything else these days. I think we're in that kind of learning environment too. I think a lot of content is being relayed through YouTube now more than ever. But we're also on LinkedIn as well as Instagram, because we did hear from some younger people from FIRST Robotics that to put some things up on Instagram might be suitable for them to consume. So we're working on creating content in different areas. I personally don't have a TikTok channel yet, but who knows, right? You never know. That could happen down the road. I think that would be silly. My daughter might think she might be embarrassed with me, but it could happen. You never know. And so I am going to jump into the software. I am going to just simply open up SolidWorks. And it's just taken a second, I think. There we go. All right. So I'm going to walk through a part in DriveWorksXpress just to simply show you how simple it is to take a model, capture it in DriveWorks, take a SolidWorks model, capture it in DriveWorks, and be able to recreate that same model over and over again in minutes, as opposed to going through the process of manually updating your model and recreating your drawing every time you need to make a change to something. And so this may not be for everyone, again, and I know obviously showing just this simple part, but what it will do is it will show you what the software can do, and because you own it already, it might be something you go back and just have a go at. And because you own it, you can have a go at it as early as today, or tomorrow, or this week during your work week. And so maybe show someone even on your staff, if it's not for you, maybe somebody else in another product area. Again, you already have it. So I have this magazine rack. Let me show you here first in SolidWorks. Because I already have DriveWorksXpress activated on my machine, I'm just going to show you briefly when we looked at that beer mat earlier. If you go to Tools and you go to the Express products, you'll see that you have DriveWorksXpress, DFM Express, Simulation Express, and Flow. All of those products, if they're not activated on your machine already, as soon as you click on it, that's where it's going to drive you over to the My SolidWorks website for you to get the activation code. And so, but I think on the education seats, it might already be activated. I'm not 100% certain, but I think somehow in the education version, like the student edition, it might be activated already. But one way or another, super simple to activate. I just wanted to show you that path right there. So I have this magazine rack open, and what we're going to do today is we're going to be able to walk through a project together. I have DriveWorksXpress is open here on the right side of my screen. You can see it again because it's a gold product. It's sitting right inside of the software. So any gold product that you come to use in your career or even in your education will sit right inside of SolidWorks because that's the gold integration. And that's a pretty good handshake between the two API, the SolidWorks API and the Solution API. So we have this magazine rack, and what you'll see is at the top, it's got a custom name, it says DriveWorks on it, and then it has the different slots for the magazines that they sit in. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to capture this magazine rack. We're going to capture some of the dimensions and the features that we want to change in DriveWorks. And again, it's to show you what the solution can do. And what I did, again, in the interest of time, was I did go in and start to do some of step one, which was to capture it just because I wanted to talk through some of it. So where you have DriveWorksXpress open on the right screen here, what I'm going to do is I have this dimensions. You can have captured models, dimensions and features, custom properties, and drawings down at the bottom. So I've already gone in to capture, I wanted to capture the feature. So I captured that feature of the text. I just gone over here, I clicked on text, and I captured it down below here. And what happens is when you capture things, SolidWorks gives you an address, but you can add your own name to it. So I've called it text. And then what I've done is I've gone in to capture. So when you're looking at your product and the design areas of your product, we're going to be changing the text because it's the feature. But we're also going to change the dimensions of this magazine rack in our new configuration. I wanted to capture the depth. So I captured the depth of the magazine rack, I captured the width, and I captured the quantity of magazine slots that were here. So I had my team made a little macro. So what I've done is I've captured the things, the primary things that I want to drive in my project to start with, which were going to be just 3 dimensions and 1 feature. Again, designed just to give you a snapshot into what it could be, whatever you're designing or learning in SolidWorks. You might do something a little bit different in your product designs, but I'll show you this. So I've captured the dimensions and the features, super simple. And now what I can do is I just went in and I have some custom properties here in my project, and I want to capture a few of them because you can drive those custom properties as well. So I captured 5 of those properties: the customer name, the etching on the top, the customer, the drawn by, because we're going to be able to automate our drawing as well. We're going to bring a drawing in. With DriveWorks Express, you can automate your drawing if it exists already. And then I'm going to have an order number, and then I'm going to be able to do a total height. I'm going to be able to drive those things as well. So I've gone in to capture these simply just by checking on them. But the cool thing is now I can click on this one at the bottom here that says drawings. And now I'm going to go where it says there's no drawing captured for this model. I'm going to go find my drawing. And it's just taking a second here. Here we go. And I have a magazine rack. I already have an existing drawing. So I'm going to grab that. And now it's in my project. And so we've captured the primary dimensions and the feature that I want to drive in the project. I've captured those custom properties. And now I have my drawing. And so again, for timing, I got a little bit ahead. So I had some time to walk through the other two steps because they're a little bit more involved with using DriveWorks. But now I've gone through that step one, which is to capture the items from my model that I want to drive. So now we're going to go in and we are going to start to build our form together. And I didn't start this because I do like to walk through building the form. And in DriveWorks Express, the form technology is really simple. I'll be able to show you, time permitting, an example of some of the more fancy forms, but for purposes of today and for DriveWorks Express, it's really simple. So what now I need to do is I need to create an input form for all of those areas that I captured, because I'm going to want to put values into those forms to change them. I'm going to change the height, the depth, the width, what's on the top where it reads DriveWorks. I'm going to need a form for all of those fields to be completed. So we're going to build a form together. And so I just clicked add back here. Sorry, I clicked up here on this add button. And now I'm going to start to build that form. I'm going to talk a little bit and I'm going to type a little bit. And so the first one I wanted to do, and I'm going to show you the different formats of the form, the different types of entries you can build. And so the first one I'm going to do is going to be for the order number. And I'm going to keep it as a text box, but just to show you, in Express, you have some really basic types that you can use. You can use a text box, a numeric text box, a drop down, a spin button. We're going to use all of those and I'll show you what they look like, but we're going to keep this one as a text box and we're going to make it required, because you can make the fields required or not required, but we want all of our fields to be required today. And I'm going to hit create. And so now we're starting to build our form. So let me go through and put in a couple of others. I also want to have a customer name. And I'm going to leave that as a text box too, because I want to enter in a customer name at that point. And now I'm going to go in and do a checkbox, because what I want is going to be for name required. So when we capture that feature for the name, we're going to be able to build a box that says whether the name is required at the top or not. We're going to build a rule that coincides with that to tell DriveWorks what to do with that SOLIDWORKS model. And so you'll kind of see how it all comes together when the pieces are put together here. So, and then I'm going to put name, because we have the checkbox for name required, and now I need a field to put the name. And so again, I'm going to leave that as an open text box because we're going to have some fun and put some names in there. And the next one I'm going to do is a spin button. And the spin button is a really great opportunity for me. So we captured those magazine slots. And what I'm going to be able to do now is I'm going to build into my project how many magazine slots I want to have in my model when I redesign it over and over again. And I'm going to use a spin button. And the spin button is going to allow me to use a range of values, but I'm going to set those values on the back end. So when you start to build some of the more involved forms, you need to give it some values. So because I gave it a spin button, DriveWorks gives you a lot of visual clues when you're building. It's almost like you have a little wizard working with you. It's telling me that I need to put these values in at this point, these call outs here to the right. So now you can control how many slots for the magazine that you want it to have. So I'm going to have it as the minimum of 1 and a maximum of 10, but I'm going to have it build in increments of 1. And you'll be able to see what that looks like in a minute. So now I'm going to be able to say, when you redesign this magazine rack, you're going to be able to have a minimum of 1 slot, which is a small rack, or you can have a maximum of 10 slots. And so if you kind of take that out into industry and say you have a guy out there selling magazine racks or something, they can't put in 11, they can't put in 12, they can only put in 1 to 10 because you're controlling the design input on the back end of it. And so imagine, you know, being able to control what your manufacturing team can do. You know, it's kind of a cool thing, and I'll show you what that looks like in the upper level product later on. But so now we've created this quantity of magazines with a spin button, and I'm just going to create a couple more. I'm going to do a numeric text box, and the numeric text box, we're going to do some of those dimensions. And again, I have depth because we had captured that depth. I'm going to do a numeric text box, and again, I get to put values in on the back end, so I get to create how you know, deep or not the magazine rack is going to be. And so I'm going to do 150 to 250, and when I put those values in, those call outs go away. And just to show you, if ever you want to take a look at your form, there's a button here that lights up called Test. And you can start to see what your form is going to look like. And you can go back in and make changes back in the design thing. You can edit things, you can delete things. There's a number of options for you, and it's really simple to move some things around. So I'm just going to keep building. I just have a couple of more things I need to build in because we had captured the width. And I'm also going to make that a numeric text box as well. Again, it's telling me I need to give it those values. So again, I'm doing 200 and 500. And by putting those values in, somebody can't put in a minimum width of 150. It's not going to allow it because I'm building on the front I'm building on the form what can and can't be put in. And then I'm going to do a drop down. I'm going to use this drop down here, and that's going to be for the designer name because we did capture that drawing. And so I am going to do that. I'll just put my daughter's name in just for fun. And let's put my husband's name in as well. We'll have some fun at their expense. So what I've been able to do is these are now going to appear in my drop down so when you go into your test here, you can now see that we built that order button with the text box, the customer, the checkbox that we made for the name, the quantity of magazines with our spin box. And as you hover over it, you can see when I did the quantity of magazines, it's going to have to be between 1 and 10 in steps of 1. Over depth, when you roll over it, it says type in a numeric value between 150 and 250. With this drop down, I've now created this drop down thing for you to be able to pick who designed things. So now what we've done is we've gone through steps 1 and 2 where we captured everything and we've built our form together. Now what we're going to do is as we click up here on this next box, it's in our rules builder. Now I can't say enough about rules. I mean, the success of our software has been built around a really strong rules engine. It's what we do. And so what this now is going to show is areas in our project where we need to build some rules. And again, we're going to start building rules. If you find yourself interested in what I'm doing, I have that little book of rules for you to read a little bit more about it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build a file name rule. So you have the ability, when I talked about DriveWorks being able to take this model and make it into brand new parts, I can drive the name of that file in DriveWorks. And so what I'm going to do, so quickly before I get over into that, again, it's showing you when I had captured those 3 dimensions, it's telling me I have missing rules for those 3 with the feature. So it's telling me the areas that I need to go into to build some rules. And in order to do that, so the first one I'm going to do is the file name rule. And I'm going to just click edit, that edit box, and then down below that lights up a little bit. So I'm going to hit edit rules. And now it's showing me the rule that I need to build under that file name. It's showing me the missing rule because this box is checked over here. If I wanted to see other ones, which I don't have other ones, but if I did, you could uncheck that. But so in order to go in here to start to build my rule, I'm going to highlight it. You can either double click on it and the rule builder opens, or you can click on it and hit this build button. However you tend to work. I tend to double click sometimes, but either way will open up this rules builder. So what we're going to do is we're going to build some rules based around the dimensions that we captured with the form. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of assign the rules to those form inputs, you know, for the models in SOLIDWORKS. So I'm going to start to type, and when you see me typing, the screen's going to turn different colors. It's going to turn red, it's going to turn white. When I'm in the middle of writing a rule, or if I've made an error in a rule, the screen will turn red because it gives you a visual indicator that something is either incomplete or incorrect. And you'll see that. And hopefully, if I've done my job correctly over the course of the next few minutes, everything will be correct and we won't have to look at that. So as soon as I start to type in, things start to change. So the rule I want to make for this file name is I want this file name, when the new file is made, I want it to be based upon the order number and the customer name, because that's how I want to keep track of things. And so this input thing gives you, when we built those forms together, it's giving me all of those form input areas. So I want the order number. I want to grab the order number. And again, as soon as I start to type out some of my rule here, it's going to be order number and customer name. So now the screen is white. So now what that tells me is that it's correct. If by some chance I didn't have this ampersand in here, the screen would be red because it would be telling me, you need to go back in and make sure you have that in there for the making sure they're connected, that it's going to be order number and customer name. So now I've gone and I've built that rule. And again, if this all seems foreign to you and you want to learn a little bit more, you can even go out to the website and learn a little bit more about rules building. But I'm going to go in now and I'm going to write the rules for those 5 custom properties that I had captured. So we're going to go in and we can see there's 5 of them here, and they all need to be written at this point. And so what I want to do is just go like this first. There we go. And so what I want to do is I'm going to we captured the custom property, and the input for that is going to be the customer. Like, that's literally it, because we captured the customer custom property. We built an input on the form for customer. So we've already done that one. We want to go, I'm skipping over the etching one right now on purpose. I'll go back to that one in a moment. So withdrawn by, the input again in that form was designer name, right? So I'm going to just go capture that one and type in, that's where the input is that. I'm going to be connecting those two. For order number, again, the input is going to be taken directly from the order number. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I just want to go back up to the top and go back to this customer etching one, because these 2 rules that are left at this point are just a little bit more involved. So I like to save them until later so I can talk through them while I'm typing. So the customer etching that's on the top, I want to build a little bit more of a rule for this, because we captured it as a feature and I had created that checkbox for whether the name is going to be required or not. So now I want to build a rule for it. And so it's going to be built as an if statement. And so, and again, you know, you might recognize, I always hit the plus sign. I don't know why. So what I want to do is I want to build it as an if statement. And so it's going to be if the name required, right? If that name required checkbox is used, if it's true, I did it again. If it's true, then I want it to populate with the name, that input for the name, right? There we go. So now what I've done is I've said, if that name required checkbox from the input form is checked, it's going to tell SOLIDWORKS to go grab, it's going to tell DriveWorks to go grab that information and put the name in it into DriveWorks. So I have that one done. And now I have the total height custom property. And the total height is based around when I had first grabbed this, and I told you my team had kind of created a little macro for me, these 5 slots are based upon some design parameters. And so what I'm going to do, there's based on specific heights of each slot. And so now what I'm going to do is it's going to say not if, but what I want it to do is it's going to now calculate out, it's going to take the input from the quantity of magazines. So if I have 3 there or 4 there, whatever that is, now I'm telling it to multiply it by 125 millimeters, because that's what the set distance is in each, between each slot. So I want it to be the quantity of magazines times 125 plus, see, I got the plus sign right that time, plus 75 millimeters for that very top where the customer name is. So I'm going to build the height of this magazine rack based upon the quantity of magazine slots plus that header area where the name is going to be. And so now I've built all the rules for my custom properties. And you can now go back and see there's no longer any custom property rules that are missing. And then really quickly, I'm just going to go in the dimensions where we had captured those dimensions at the beginning of the project in our step 1. The inputs I made for those are really simple because the input was depth, and I want it to match up with depth in our model. With width, I want it to capture the width in that format. And then of course the quantity of magazines, I want it to capture that. So now I'm almost done. I'm pretty much left with just this one rule that I have left to build, and that was for the feature. When we captured this feature at the beginning of our project for the name on top. And so this rule is just going to be the suppression rule effectively. And so because what I want to do, and this kind of came on later in my model because I didn't always have this and I asked for it to come in, because what if I don't want the feature up there? And so I had to go back in and have a rule written for that, because what if I don't want it? I mean, I'm going to show it for today because it's fun to show different names up there. But what if I didn't have it? You know, what if I didn't have that box checked? But we're going to show it anyway. So I'm going to go in and build this rule for my feature. And we're going to start out again with if. And it's going to be if the name is required equals true. Unsuppress or delete if I don't want it. And so if the name required is true, I want it to show up at the top. If it's not, I want to delete that whole area, because what was happening is before I had this rule created, if there wasn't anything up top, it was giving me an error. So I had to go in and make this feature rule exist to suppress the top if I didn't want the name up there, and to delete that whole space for me. So now I've written this. Now, by some chance, again, kind of funny stories. You know, I've been doing this now for about 6 years with different demo models, and on occasion, you know, you've had a long day, you're staring at these rule builders, and sometimes you go in and you're looking at it and you're thinking, what did I miss here? You know, and it's something as simple as just the comma. You know, it's just a funny thing, but having those visual indicators from DriveWorks and just have it kind of showing you, you know, something is wrong, something might not be there, or something's not complete yet. It's actually kind of nice to help you learn the software as well. So there's nothing about my team that isn't about trying to help people build on their SolidWorks CAD skills. I mean, everything we build is built with hopefully something to show you and guide you, even at the pro level of the software. So now we've done step 1, we've captured everything. Step 2, we built our forms. Step 3, we've built our rules together. So now we have our project ready to go. And again, this took us a little bit of time to work through together because it's really important for me to show you how things are built on the back end. But now that we have it, so we have our primary CAD model here. We have our magazine rack. We have our project built around this primary model. So now what we're going to do is, let's just go with, let's just call it 2021-01. We're still in 2021 for a few more weeks, right? And so let's call it, here we go, we're going to just call it, that's going to be, you know, and then actually let's do just Thane. I think I said it wrong, and I'm so sorry. I just totally Americanized and botched that for you. But let's make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make it have three slots. And again, I can't go any lower than 1, of course, but I can't go any higher with my spin box than 10. It simply won't let me. So we're going to just make it a little bit smaller than what it is right now. And again, it's telling me my values have to be between 150 and 250. So I can't go into this box and write 300. It simply won't accept it. So I have to stay within the parameters that we built on the back end. So let's just take it at 200. Let's do this. We'll make it a little bit wider. And let's have Nikhil be the designer. So now we're going to hit create. And again, if I've done my job right and we've built our product rules correctly, everything here, it's going to immediately go in. DriveWorks is now driving SOLIDWORKS to make the new model for us. And it's working. So what you're going to see now is we put the name up on top at this point. We've got the new drawing. It's taking the existing drawing right here, and it's going to adjust it to our new drawing. And I'm not touching it. I mean, just the automation of the drawings alone, it's just tends to be a bit of an aha moment when you can see. So now look, it's taken everything here. It has the drawer's name down here. Designer has Nikhil's name down here. It has all of the design things in place, and we're done at this point. It's done. So now we have our new magazine rack. It's got 3 slots. It's got the name. It's got all of the dimensions correctly. And now we get to I'm just going to do one more example for all of you, just for the sake of showing you honestly how, I'm just going to say Hasz family, just for fun. This one tends to get a little bit funny because the drawing, I have to get it fixed a little bit because it does tend to get a little bit off the, let's do this, and let's make it my husband, and we're just going to hit create. So what it's doing now, and why I like to show you multiple versions of this, is it's going back to that original DriveWorks magazine rack. It's always going to go back to the primary project that we built. And so because that one we just built for your user group is a brand new file. So now look, now we've got this massive magazine rack. The one thing that gets a little wonky on here with the drawing is I think it might go off it a little bit. I just have to have that adjusted on my end, but see how it I just have to have this kind of adjusted on my end for DriveWorks. But again, you can see it's got the brand new drawing again, where you can see Earl is the designer. It's got the different dimensions for everything. And so, but one of the things, and one of the reasons why, and again, we have green check marks. If by some chance there was an error, it would show you a red X next to something by chance, if there was anything. But let's just take a really quick look at these. So this was at the bottom of the screen here. This was our original model, the magazine rack down here. This was the first one we made. What I want to show you is that file name that's there for this one. It's the Tane Swug, where I had the order number and the customer name. And then I made this one, order number 2021-03, and the customer was Swuggen. So what you can see is that was that file name rule. Again, these are all brand new files that have been created off of this primary one that we built from. So when you go back, if you ever want to make any changes, you always go back to your primary model, your primary project, because these others are already their own independent files. So if you, say for example, say you automated one of these racks and you could literally go into this one and make a change to it if you needed to, because it stands independent of the other ones. They're not configurations, they're brand new files. And so if you did need to go in and do some finished work on one of them, you could. So sometimes people will take this and automate I don't know, 85% of their base assembly, and then just go into that finished product and finish up whatever custom work that might need to be done. But so again, it just, it's just a nice tool to take a look at if you find that there might be something in your daily workflow that might benefit from a little automation, if there's a part of your design work, or if you're in education right now and just want to kind of add on to anything you're learning with respect to SOLIDWORKS, you could definitely have a go with this and see if it makes sense to either improve your workflow or otherwise. But I have just a minute or two left. I just want to go. I'm not going to go over here and do a full. I'm not going to do another demo of anything more, but this is the DriveWorks Live website. This is www.DriveWorks Live, and this gives you an opportunity to look at the full professional configurator. So what I showed you today was the free solution that's inside of SOLIDWORKS, but if you really want to have some fun, like as engineers and designers, these are free configurator examples that you could go out and have a real go with to see what DriveWorks can do at the professional level. And just for the sake of showing you just this trailer, we have a lot of companies that do transportation and trailers and stuff. And we built a configurator just so you can see what a company that's using the full product might be able to use on the website. So this is a configurator you can take all the way up to the web. The Express one, again, it's really basic, but these are more of the paid products, but it's just kind of fun to take a look at. And this is an online web configurator. But as you can see, you can pick the different, the body of it, the style. You can go in to configure things such as color, the type of wheels, the type of bumper, there's even some 3D technology where you can have it set in nighttime or daylight. It's pretty cool. You can configure the height and and I wanted to show you this more because in DriveWorks Express, we had these really simple forms for inputs for height and width and length. This is an actual little slide tool that you can use to configure your height. Again, the forms are a bit fancy. You can configure the wheels. You could even go so far as to configure the kind of what color paint you want on the truck itself. But again, just really an opportunity for you if you wanted to go out and have some fun and take a look at what DriveWorks can do at the premium level. It is a lot of fun I've worked through a ton of these demos over the last year just to teach myself a little bit more about what the solution can do. But so if anybody has any questions about the software, I'd be more than happy to answer anything. Again, you can feel free to send me an email if you want a PDF copy. I have somebody here that sent me their email address already for a copy of the Book of Rules in the chat. So I will go ahead and send that out to you. If not today, it might be tomorrow. Because today's it's Sunday morning here, so I have some household tasks to get back to at some point in my morning. This was a nice respite from having to do some housework this morning, Nikhil, so thank you for that as well. But thanks for having me. And again, I'm happy to answer anything. I think you've posted some great links into the chat while I was talking, so thanks for that.
Yes.
All right, so I think I'm...
Yeah, so we have a great session. Okay, thank you. Basically, it was really a great session, ma'am. Thank you for being with us today. Really appreciate your presence.
Thank you.
Yeah. I hope you all guys enjoy the sessions, and in a while there were a lot of few people who left the meeting. So, no matters.
That's okay.
Yeah. So till then, I hope DriveWorks keep coming in our sessions henceforth, and we do have acknowledged some of the great righteousness of your. And this was really a very good technical session from a non-technical person indeed.
From a non, no. I mean, if I can learn it, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone can do. Rather, I was quite impressed the way you were like working with DriveWorks, you were working with SolidWorks as a CAD, you being into non-technical field. I was amazed by the fact. That's pretty good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know what? It's a great company to work for, and they're very supportive in making sure we all understand the software, you know, and so it's a really strong foundation in learning and building on skills, you know, and I think that's what is so great about the user, you know, the SolidWorks user group community as well, and yourself in leading this group. So thank you as well.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thanks for having us today. So,
okay.
With your permission, I will end up this session.
Yes. Bye now. Happy New Year, everybody. Take care. Bye now.
Yes.